restroom. You just go out here through the one door and to the left, out on the old contract floor. Our next family informational series is going to be in November. Right now we don't have a topic nailed down yet, but we'll be announcing that and sending information out to everybody when we do. If you haven't signed in, the sign-in sheets are over there. Put your email address on it. We'll make sure that you get that information if you're not already on our email list. And we are also going to talk to you just a quick bit about the Next Chapter Book Club. This is a book club that Lisa Paramore is working with, and they're looking for new members for the fall book club group. So if you have anybody who's interested in being part of that, there's handouts over here as well on that. So real quick tonight, we're hoping to answer the questions: what are remote supports? How can I get them? And who provides them? Remote monitoring means that we're monitoring or supporting an individual in their home using some sort of live video feed, live audio feed, sensor systems, some type of device that's going to help them be more independent, but also have that support there if they need it. It's a service that just helps them live the life that they want while assuring health and welfare. How do you get it? If you have a waiver, you can discuss that service with your team and choose a remote monitoring provider. And that'll help our individuals live in the community more independently. It's through the free choice of provider process. You can choose any willing and able remote monitoring provider. We have Wagner with us here tonight, and they're one example. Contact your SSA if you have questions and want more information on that. And so we're going to start off tonight with Jordan Wagner, who is a coordinator for the technology project at the Ohio State University Nysonger Center.
Thanks. Right. So I'm Jordan Wagner. I work at the Ohio State University Nysonger Center. That's OSU's University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. And my role there, as was stated, is the technology project coordinator. That's the short version of it. Technically, the project that I work on is called the Technology Evaluation and Development Project. This has gotten a lot of excitement on the state level. Governor Kasich, as well as Director John Martin, have talked about this, and as they've gone around and talked about the budget. So there's this intentionality to talk about Ohio as being a technology-first state. There's this motivation to use technology in ways that benefit Ohioans, and part of that includes using remote monitoring. And so our project has a lot to do with remote monitoring. They've directly talked about our project when they're on stage. But before we talk any more about that, I want to talk about the remotes that I passed out. Okay? So as we go through this, I'm going to be asking you to answer multiple choice questions using the remotes. This will be kind of fun. So you should have different letters on the remotes. And so when I ask you a question, like, in what capacity are you here, you can answer one of these multiple choices. Let's see if there's a way to move that. All right, well, I guess we're just going to deal with that being there. B is I am a parent of a person with a developmental disability. Great, you guys got the hang of this?
Did you push yours in?
Yes,
Okay,
push
cool.
is supposed to be 2B.
Okay.
All right, so 58% of you are parents. All right, that's really great to know. 8% of people here have a developmental disability, and 33% work in the field. How are you familiar with remote monitoring?
Let me see if I can move that.
I think it'll
You
be
okay
okay.
with it? Okay.
It's only going to be there during the polling questions.
Okay.
Wow, all right, so half the room has heard of remote monitoring and half of us have not. That's an okay place to be in. So how familiar would you say that you are with remote monitoring?
You're not familiar?
No.
You've never heard of it?
Yeah, so it looks like not very many of us are very familiar with remote monitoring, and that's okay. That's why we're here, right? We get to talk about remote monitoring. So what is remote monitoring? It was discussed a little bit, but the way that I like to define it is really it's the same thing as having a direct support person in the home. You know, when someone has a developmental disability, oftentimes they will live on their own and have someone come in to assist them. So this is really very similar. The direct support professional follows an ISP, an individual service plan, and the people who work, the remote monitoring workers, do the same thing. They also follow these plans, and it's in the best interest of the one who's being served. The only difference is that they're not in your home, they're serving from a distance. And so what kind of technologies does this generally consist of? Well, a lot of different types of sensors. Okay, and so these sensors are generally binary things. Things that just tell you if it's on or if it's not on. I think when Reith will get a little bit more into what kind of technologies are out there. But oftentimes, there's a bed sensor. Something that recognizes, is someone in the bed or are they out of the bed? Is the door open or is it closed? Has this toothbrush been used today? And then you also have another kind of sensor, videos, right? So cameras that are able to see what's going on in the home. And there's a reason why I put sensors before cameras here. Oftentimes, cameras are not what's being used. Often, it's sensors that are being used in the home. When cameras are used, it's because it's been determined that that is the least intrusive situation. And I'll actually give an example of what kind of situation that may be later on. But cameras are not always used, as a parent, as someone on the team for an individual with developmental disabilities, you have a say in what kind of technology goes into the home. This is something that can be really creative. Winreath is a very creative company. They come up with a lot of ways in which technology can best promote independence for people with developmental disabilities. Two examples here that I really like to use is the man who burned his popcorn and the sound intensity measure. So somebody has direct support professionals working in their home at night because one time this individual in the home set his microwave on fire by burning his popcorn, right? And so when Reith comes in and they say, okay, is there a way that technology can really assist this individual where the direct support does not have to be there during the nighttime? And so what they did is they set up motion sensors around the house, and if that motion sensor is triggered at a certain point in the evening, then they would turn on the cameras in the kitchen and be able to communicate with this individual. They would be able to say, hey, are you making your midnight snack? And he'd say, yeah, I am. And then they would be able to assist that person through that, but not have to be there all night. What's that? Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of people who have experienced things similar to this, where technology may really be able to come in and assist. And then the sound intensity measure, there was an individual whose neighbors would complain. They would say, this person is too loud, And so they would have staff there to remind the person, hey, you're too loud. You need to really quiet it down. But instead, technology was used, right? When there's a green light, it means your volume's okay. When it gets up to red, just like a traffic light, when it gets up to red, you need to watch your volume. And the reason why this example is so great is because this individual weaned themselves off of the need for it. Where direct support professionals could not assist, technology was able to. This individual learned to control his own volume, and so technology is no longer necessary in that situation. And he doesn't need the direct support either. So, as was mentioned earlier, this is paid for using waiver dollars. There's 3 waivers that are used in Ohio that pays for remote monitoring. They include the self waiver, the level 1 waiver, as well as the IO individual options waiver. And so what that means is that there's 33,000 people in Ohio that could be using remote monitoring. 37,000 people could be using remote monitoring. Of that 37,000, how many people do you think are using remote monitoring? Is it over 12,000? Over 8,000? Over 3,000? Or is it as low as 170? Yeah. So, the majority got it right. There's only 170 people that are using remote monitoring in Ohio. And so the task that the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities has given us is looking into remote monitoring, right? Why is it that the user base is so low? Why is it only 170? This has been around for a while. Why aren't there more people that are using this service? What's that again? Not that many people know about it. Well, that's a major possibility. And that's part of what I'm doing. Half the room here doesn't know about remote monitoring. So it's possible that that is why. And so that's certainly a piece of our role, is to increase the use of remote monitoring in Ohio from 170 to at least 600 individuals. But our project is really bigger than that. It's looking into all different sorts of technology. How can all of these different technologies be used to best promote independence for people with developmental disabilities? And so this means conducting focus groups and interviewing people who use remote monitoring. This means writing a national review that goes over existing technologies, including remote monitoring, as well as emerging technologies, creating a vision for how technology will be used 10 years from now to promote independence for people with developmental disabilities. Are we going to be seeing more autonomous cars? Is it going to be augmented reality or smartwatches? What is the next technology that needs to be harnessed to promote independence? So now that we've talked about remote monitoring, I'd like to ask, which of the following do you like most about it? Is it safety, health, self-reliance, less staff, no third shift, or personalized equipment? Unfortunately, there is nothing that says all of the above. You gotta pick one. Which one is the best? All right, let's see here. Self-reliance. Yeah. Well, I think that's certainly our motivation in doing this project, is to promote independence. Now, which of the following is most disconcerting? Which is the most worrying aspect of remote monitoring? Privacy, health, safety, hackers, or the anti-socialness of it? Or rather, it feels antisocial. Safety, yeah, so safety is the most disconcerting. Okay, well, so we've conducted these focus groups. And we started off with a couple of sort of practice focus groups to get an idea of what parents, as well as people with developmental disabilities that do not use remote monitoring, what they think about this service. And so we visited the What's Next program. This is in Columbus. It's at the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Parents get together and learn about what's the next step for my son or daughter? Transitioning into adulthood, what sort of options are there? So we asked them, what do you think of when you hear remote monitoring? Ankle monitors, security cameras. What they like about the services is that, they sound good. And some of you parents may be sitting here today thinking, well, remote monitoring sounds good, but really I don't see this working for my son or daughter. I don't see this working for my friends. And so when asked with a show of hands who would try out remote monitoring, there wasn't a single person in the room that raised their hand. They also said that sensors sound better than cameras. And what people would dislike is the privacy issues. Also, they thought that the technology would be too difficult and open to hacking. And ultimately, the conclusion of many parents was that remote monitoring was inadequate to assist their son or daughter. And then we also interviewed about 30 participants from People First of Ohio. Things that they liked about it, we asked them, what do you like about remote monitoring? They don't use it. This is just people that have heard presentations on it. They said that they like the idea that it could be safe. They like the independence of it. They think that it's useful when staff are not present or needed. And according to one participant, they said that they like that, quote, staff aren't up your butt. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good response. I was a direct support professional once, and as the supporter, that's how I felt a lot of the time. That that this person wanted independence, and I was encroaching on their independence. So we also asked them what do you not like, and they're concerned that something could go wrong. They're concerned with the anti-socialness feeling of it. They're concerned about privacy. So let's move ahead to the focus groups that we did for people that actually use remote monitoring. What did they, having used it, some of them for years, what did they think about remote monitoring? And so what we found so far, we've had 27 participants involved. 12 of them were in focus groups and 15 in over-the-phone interviews. 10 out of 27 of them mentioned safety. And these are not just individuals that use remote monitoring, these are also their parents and whomever their guardian is. So that question, participants mentioned safety. We didn't ask, what do you think about the safety? We asked, what do you like about remote monitoring and why did you get started? And these are just the people that mentioned safety directly. So that's 37% of the individuals in an open-ended question, safety came to their mind. I think that that's a big deal, that many people who use remote monitoring actually feel safe. 48% of people using remote monitoring have the service overnight. So as you might know, many individuals who have a direct support professional working in the nighttime, they come in, they sleep on their couch. It's hard to look at that and think that that's the least intrusive situation down there. And 96% say that they feel privacy in their home. There was only one individual that we interviewed that said that they did not feel a sense of privacy in their home. People often comment on the staff, and in fact, we had 2 individuals that had stopped using remote monitoring. And so we said, well, okay, what do you miss most about the service? And they said that they miss the relationships that they made with the people who are the remote monitoring workers. So the idea that remote monitoring is antisocial, the idea that you cannot develop a friendship there with the people on the other end, these 2 individuals, as well as the others that we interviewed, don't seem to think that way. They don't seem to feel that way at all. They actually like the technology. When asked, what do you like, technology is one of the things that has come up. They like the interface of the technology. They like that when they wake up, they see what the weather's going to be. I had one mother tell me that one of the reasons why she started remote monitoring, in fact, the major reason she started remote monitoring, is because it offered the chance to Skype with her son. So, where her son would damage cell phones, he did not damage the remote monitoring system, and that's how they communicated with one another. And then there's some really positive stories that we found as well. There's one mother who told me that she can now get a full night's rest for the first time in 29 years. That remote monitoring afforded that ability for her. Her son needs to be assisted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even while he's sleeping. And so this is the one situation I've ever heard of where they put a camera in someone's bedroom. And this camera, it's directed right at the bed. The camera can't be moved. It just watches the bed from the torso up. And they watch the individual's face to make sure he doesn't have a seizure in the middle of the night. And before, the mother would have to wake up multiple times throughout the night, would have to check on her son, and would oftentimes wake her son up because he's a very light sleeper. And so, really, he's getting a full night's sleep for the first time in his life as well. I talked to another mother and her son. Her son moved out of his parents' house using remote monitoring. He did have an apartment they set up in their garage, but remote monitoring afforded the ability for him to move out a few blocks away. And it has shown to be very effective for what they need. It's shown to be effective for his health. This is an individual, I don't remember what the what exactly the disease is that he has, but the second that he gets a temperature, someone has to know about it and call a support person to assist them. And there was at least one time where the remote monitors were able to catch this and call the mother and father to come and assist him. I was speaking with one APSI guardian who has 2 staff, both of whom have come into a situation where they use less direct support professional staffing than they did before they started remote monitoring. So one individual, in fact, the individual who had said that she did not like the privacy of remote monitoring, she quit remote monitoring now. She stopped using it. But whereas before she had 24-hour staffing and she was very aggressive, she has grown to the point where she no longer needs 24-hour staffing. She's no longer aggressive when staffing is there. And then the other individual would get really anxious whenever she was left alone. If she was left alone, she would be calling her friends and family, finding out who could come to the house and help her. She was so worried, so scared. But now that she's used remote monitoring for 3 years, they have provided her with more alone time. So, with advancements in technology, people with developmental disabilities will have the opportunity to live more independent lives and more socially engaged lives. And that's really the role of our project. Yeah, technology, including remote monitoring, may also be one of the pieces to the solution to the direct support professional shortages. There is a staffing problem all over America, maybe all over the world right now. But in America, there's these shortages, turnover rates are extreme, and so remote monitoring provides the opportunity for those that really absolutely need direct support professionals in the home for them to have that support. Because remote monitoring is assisting everyone else that can. So that's it for me. I forget your name.
I'm John.
John, you'd like to take over?
Yep. That was very informative. Thank you, Jordan.
It's pretty good.
Does anybody have any questions on what Jordan went over? Yeah. The basics are there. He covered them all. What WinReef does is we are also a home provider. We work in Northwest Ohio. We don't do a lot over here. What we do is adaptive equipment. What our goal is to do is to give you, as parents, and as people that need the adaptive equipment, the equipment, right? When it comes to living on your own and doing things on your own, the waiver dollars only pay so much, right? Once those waiver dollars are done, what happens? Anybody? You're out, right? Or you private pay it. If you have home care 24/7, that home care person, for the 8 hours that that person is asleep, does what? Watch TV, sleep on the couch. Those dollars can be used elsewhere in that waiver. We can take those 8 hours of home support, turn that over to remote monitoring, do a monthly fee, about $100 or so a month, depending on how much equipment you're putting in, and then those waiver dollars can then be used for that home provider to take that person out into the community, to go to the zoo, to find some environmental things to be out in the community, to become productive members of society, to get them acclimated to being out. Because the dollars are there and the time is there. Those 8 hours that are not being spent with them watch TV or watching them sleep, those 8 hours can then be used during the day for that same person to help that person out into the community. That's the whole goal of remote monitoring, is to give them the tools that they need to be able to become productive members of society. That's what we all want for them. We all want for every person to be able to exist on their own to their ability. So there are times where that person is going to need 24/7 care, right? But maybe it's only a couple hours a day that they really don't have anything, like they're gaming. Well, we have a lot of gamers. So maybe they're gaming for 4 hours between, say, 5 and 9. And the home care provider is just sitting there, right? They're not doing anything wrong. They're in their chair. They're not going anywhere. They're just sitting in their chair. Those hours can be turned over to a remote monitoring center. Then that home provider, the people that provide that care, they don't have to put somebody in there. We can do that with a camera or just a sensor on the door, that if they are getting ready to leave, the door opens, we can take a picture of them and say, hey, what's going on? You know, where are you going? Oh, I'm just going out for a smoke, or I'm going out for, well, you really can't go out. So let me get somebody to come over and help you. And that's where that comes in. It doesn't have to be intrusive. It doesn't have to be that we are watching the cameras or the sensors, like we're just making sure that nobody does anything that they can't do. Most of these are independent people, or going to be independent people, that are capable of moving around their house pretty well on their own. When they leave, that's when it becomes something that people want to know about. So we have a lot of adaptive equipment. Most of it is basically a security system that does not report to anyone except the parent or the provider. It doesn't call the police unless you want it to, right? Let's say, yes, sir.
Well, I was just wondering, are they monitored using the internet or the?
Yes, it is internet.
It's internet, so there's nothing that's close by that's receiving the signal or anything?
We are in Ohio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we are in Ohio. We are in Green Springs, which is Fremont area, Northwest Ohio. Our monitoring center is in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
But in Stark County, we would have what's called paid support or unpaid support as a backup.
Okay,
And that means a healthcare provider, a parent, a cousin, or somebody like that that is capable of giving support, but they would kind of be on call instead of them being in the home. And the waiver dollars allow for that, for someone to be paid. It's not very much, but someone to be paid on call for those hours. Or to save the waiver dollars, that allows a parent to be the unpaid support for that client. So yes, we are in Ohio, but we're not directly in Stark County.
okay, that's what I was wondering how that,
But what that also does is that allows those waiver dollars to be used elsewhere.
yeah.
If that person is up and walking around their home, that's great. We want that. We want them to feel comfortable in their home. But if they leave, somebody needs to know about it. So we have a security system. We call it an elopement system because it does not report to the police. If the door opens, you don't want the police called, you want the parent called, or you want somebody notified. And if that person is a flight risk, like they hit the door and they're gone, we have quite a few clients that are that way. We put up motion sensors in the home and then also outside of the home so we know which direction they're going. And we can talk to them directly through a Wi-Fi, it's not Skype, it's called Nucleus, device that says, hey, you know, I'm going outside. We answer, they talk to us, okay, we'll watch the door or whatever. The system is armed, door opens, we know that they're going out, they go out for their 10 minutes. If that's in their ISP, then that's fine. If they don't come back, we notify somebody. Okay? Any questions on that? Excellent. So I've got a lot of devices over there. The biggest one that we do the most of is called the MedMinder. It's also called the John. I didn't invent it, but it's also called the John. What that does is that allows the person to step up to be responsible to take their own medication, right? How many times do, the parents go, okay, John, it's time to take your medicine. Here you go, put it in, they take it. We can do that automatically. If they have to take medication 2-3 times a day or 1 time a day or whatever it is, we can set that up so that at 8 o'clock, the light comes on. John comes by, says, hey, light's on, time to take your medication. If John has not taken that in a prescribed amount of time, an alarm goes off. It starts to beep. Hey, forgetting to take your medication. And if there's a certain time for a med pass, like if they have it 3 times a day and they can't take it 2 hours after their prescribed time, they've missed their med pass time, it'll lock it out, that they can't take it. And then the next time it rolls around, it will say, okay, to take this next one. It won't allow them to take this other one. But you'll get a notification. Either it can go to anybody with a smartphone, or it can go to anybody with internet access. So as a parent, you will know that, hey, John didn't get his medication this morning. As a home provider, you can come in and without asking them, it's clear, you can look at it and go, okay, you got it, didn't get it. Got it, right? You can tell them just by looking at them. Instead of going, hey, did you get your medication on Wednesday? I don't remember. Right? So the MedMinder is probably our biggest one that we use because that one is the first set to get somebody on their own. The Elopement System is usually good for residential situations where the parents are in the home also, and they just want to know if that person is up. Maybe they have pica, maybe they have Prader-Willis, maybe there's things that they are doing that you need to know about during the middle of the night. So maybe they're escape artists and they want to leave. And the parents, set off an alarm, the parents wake up, they go get them. Okay. And that is not a remote monitoring thing. That is an elopement system that doesn't require cameras. Remote monitoring does require audio, and it does require audio or some type of visual. But there's many, many other things that are under that same remote monitoring umbrella that aren't that intrusive. So as far as opening doors, we have a lot of autism kids that they figure out everything. Oh my goodness, I love them because they challenge me. They make me go and do my research because if I don't, they're gonna make me look bad. Every time. They know how to get around a motion detector, they know how to, turn a button and make the system go off or whatever. So I have to do my things to make sure that that particular child does what they need to do. So we have door locks that are controlled by your smartphone. They can be locked out from the inside so that they cannot just leave at night without pressing a code. We don't recommend those unless there is a parent or HPC in the house. So there are biometric readers that if the parents are living in the home, they just don't want little John to be able to walk out. It's a biometric scanner, thumbprint. Put it on the door opens and you can leave. John puts his thumb on there, it doesn't open for him. There's so many types of adaptive equipment that can be used for each person. Flight risk, GPS watches, right? A watch, it's a big watch, it tells the time, can tell you where they're at. A couple of clients we have these. One, his idea is when he sees that the neighbor's garage door is open, they have a fridge that's full of pop. And when all the stars line up, mom comes home, the door doesn't quite lock behind her, he knows, because he knows every sound in that house. He knows when that door clicks and when it doesn't. When that door doesn't click, he knows when it's time, when he has his break, he can make a beeline over there. He doesn't want to drink the pop, he just wants to have it. You know, and she'll have to go back over and explain to him, and they're very nice people, you know, they don't care, they're like, whatever, he can have it, it's just pop. But, you know, he's out of her door and over there. He's 19 years old, and she's about this tall, and she can't stop him if she had to. You know, he would drag her across the yard, she'd be holding on to his shirt, but she knows where he's going. That iLock watch, he knows now he's caught, so he's not doing that as much, right? Same thing with another child. He leaves, and they live in a cul-de-sac. He goes the next cul-de-sac over and runs around the circle, and then comes home. Doesn't cause any problems, doesn't do anything wrong, scares the neighbors a little bit because there's a guy running around the circle, 26 years old, and she knows where he is by simply, oh, he's gone, the alarm went off, nope, he's gone, yep, he's headed over there. She pulls it up on her app, and his watch tells her where he is. Yes, ma'am?
Can you just take the watch off?
No, I'll show you. Right, there is a lock on that watch
Okay.
that it requires a special kind of key to, it locks the band on. And the band, if it gets cut, it also knows that the band has been cut. There's little wires in there that say, hey, the band's been cut off, and it's not as easy to take off. And to fit certain kinds of wrists, there's smaller wrists, there's bigger wrists, there's an adapter that goes with that, and I have both of them over there. And you guys are welcome to see, touch, feel, look at, ask questions on any of that stuff that's over there. That's why I'm here. There's another device, it's called the Lively, and what that is, that's a one-button push for emergency, right? If one button pushes directly to a nurse, it says, hey, fallen, I can't get up, or I'm lost, it's got GPS tracker with it. Maybe they are ones that can go to their work and to their home, right? Maybe they walk, maybe they ride their bike, maybe they get picked up by a care provider that takes them. Anybody know what a geofence is? Okay, geofence around your home, geofence around your work, around their work. You'll get a notification that they've left their home and they've arrived at the geofence of their work. Get a notification that they've left and they've arrived home without having to have somebody there watching them leave and watching them get home. If they have a problem on the way, press the button. This is a great call, we're here to help you, what can we do for you? I'm lost, okay? I have your pinpointed I have you pinpointed within 3 meters of where this device is. I'm sending help. They will call the parent, they will call HPC, they will call whoever's in their call list, their particular call list, because it's designed for that particular person, to let them know, hey, this person's now sitting at the coffee shop waiting on you. Okay, I'll go get them. It's very, very simple. If they get into an emergency situation, they can press that button for 5 seconds and it will call 911 in their community, wherever they are. Let's say they're down here in Canton and they're up in Cleveland and they press that button for 5 seconds, it's going to call Cleveland's 911, not Canton's 911, because Canton can't do anything about it. It's not going to call Fremont's 911, it's going to call 911 for that particular area because it's GPS tracking. So if they are in an emergency situation, and this doesn't have to be developmentally disabled people, this can be Alzheimer's, dementia, anybody that kind of gets lost with directions or has a medical problem, anybody can use these. It has a necklace that can be worn. If they fall and they can't answer, it'll automatically call for them. So there's all kinds of different things over there that can help you with that. He had mentioned the popcorn, okay? A lot of our clients that live alone, what's the biggest issue we worry about? It's cooking, right? Worry about them cooking. So we have what's called a cook stop that's got a motion detector in front, and if they're not standing in front of that cooking area for a certain amount of time, depending on what time you put it on, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it will start to beep. You have to go over and actually stand in front of it to keep it going. So that microwave thing could be set at 4 minutes, that if they're not standing in front of that microwave after 4 minutes, it's gonna beep. And then if they don't come back, shuts it off. Automatic, shuts it off. Takes a key to restart it. And HBC, the parent or whoever, would have that key to be able to say, okay, you can turn this back on. It doesn't have to be something that continues to go, okay, well, you know, they were able to turn it on and then it went off and then we went to turn it back on. So it shuts it off. That's called a cook stop. We have the sky bells, the door cameras, the doorbell cameras. Those are very good for being used outside the home. As a parent, we can answer the door from our smartphone. Our kids that have developmental disabilities, they're home alone. How many of your parents have come home and the child has been there by themselves all day, has a ton of paperwork because they want you to change religions, they want you to buy a sweeper, whatever it is, they've knocked on the door 3 or 4 times and your child has answered the door, right? With the Ring doorbell, you can answer the door. Or the person in the home can answer the door through their iPad or something like that that says, you know, I'm not coming to the door, go away, don't bother me. But we all have kids, we all know of kids or have kids that if somebody knocks on that door enough, I have to answer it, right? But we as parents can go, okay, we're not buying, we ain't changing religions, we're all good, go away. That will also send you an alert when somebody comes to motion up the door, right? So it knocks. You know, you're already getting that. It doesn't have to be where they press the doorbell, okay? And that'll send you a snapshot to your smartphone. As far as controlling automation in the house, child that works maybe afternoons or something, you want to be able to turn the lights on for them when they get home. They come in, hit the panel, hit their code, lights turn on. Thermostat goes up or down, whatever you would like. My wife, I'm going to tell the story. My wife has a tendency to leave her straightening iron on in the mornings. She gets going and she'll call me and she'll be like, hey, I turned the straightening iron off. And she always does. She's never not once turned it off. She just doesn't remember if she shut it off or not. It's sitting on the bathroom sink. So I put one of these modules in that now she can just go to her smartphone and cut the power to it. Whether she's turned it off or not, she cuts the power to it. Now she knows that it's off. It's a pretty neat little thing. If you're sitting in church and you want to start your crock pot, you can do that too. You know, you don't have to turn the crock pot on or whatever. You can control about any appliance with the appliance module. You can control any plug-in lamp with a lamp module. You can control any light with a light bulb module. There's all kinds of things that can happen. If you want to control a bunch of lights, say there's one light in here that turns on all of these lights, put in a switch module and that can control these lights. And these are all things that all work off of the Elopement System. It also works with Alexa. Alexa, tell alarm.com to turn on my living room lights. They turn on. That works very well for a child who is working on being verbal. We have a client, he has his own space down in the basement. The parents very rarely have to go down there, but he has trouble with turning on lights or turning them off because he's already in bed and he doesn't want to get up, so he just learns to sleep with the lights on. So now he can say, Alexa, tell alarm.com to turn off my bedroom lights. So it does it. And what we found is with him having to talk to Alexa, he's done better with his language. Because she only understands, it's not a she only understands the words that, he has already trained her on. So he has to pronounce them and enunciate them better and better. So his English has gotten better. It's kind of a side effect of having one of these. And the parents are just ecstatic about it because now he feels comfortable talking to them and other people. So pretty good deal. What questions do you guys have? Yes, ma'am.
If someone's deaf,
We have lights that are controlled. You can control things depending on what they want to be able to do. If they want to know when the doorbells ring, when they want to know when something is going on, that system can then be converted to a light system that says, hey, red, yellow, green, on a light system on the wall that says, hey, your security system's on, your doorbell is ringing. If they're deaf, we have a bed shaker that if the alarm goes off, say the fire alarm goes off, it will shake the bed to let them know, hey, something going on. They can wake up because they won't be able to hear the alarm. But there's a lot of things for the deaf. Good questions. Any others? Yes, ma'am.
I guess, looking at this from my point of view of my son with the TBI, who's
Yeah.
going into a waiver home, I guess I'm questioning what is available, does it depend what he would qualify for it when there's already staff there 24/7?
When there's already staff there 24/7, what is the goal? What are the goals on your ISP? Those are the questions that we like to see because then we can take adaptive equipment and match those to your particular situation. I don't want to say the remote monitoring is going to work in your case because it may not. It may not be what he's ready for yet. Maybe we can start with a few adaptive equipment things and work him into being more independent. It's not a fit for everybody, but generally adaptive equipment is. I can generally find some adaptive equipment that will help every individual, not, maybe not the bed minder for this one, but maybe the bed shaker, the bed mat that lets you know when they are in bed and when they get up. Prater Willies and Pike are my two that I really have to watch for because they will get up in the middle of the night, they will go over to the fridge and they will take everything out. Fridge locks. We have a fridge lock that locks that fridge shut. You have to enter a code to open the fridge. People have gone to the point of chaining their fridge. They've put tape on it, that they figure out a way to get around that. Keys. Parents carry 5 or 6 different keys to be able to get their windows open, their doors open, their fridge open, the cupboards open. These sensors can do all of that for you. So if that door opens, you get an alarm on the panel, you get an alarm on your smartphone that says, hey, middle of the night, door's open. Okay, go out there and take care of it. Now you're sleeping because you know that you're not so much worried about it. And they learn that they're getting caught each time that happens. So they stop doing that. They will then find something else and they'll take that energy and use it someplace else. I'm not saying that it's going to solve all the problems, but then we'll find something to take care of that. But we do home assessments. That's usually the best way to do that. And myself and Emily, and she was supposed to be here tonight, but she's not. We are the people that do the home assessment. So I will come to your home. I will see what it is that each individual needs. And we'll design something that matches for your particular needs. It's not a cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. And I would never, ever do that. We do have a lot of options, and those options are then catered for what your particular needs are. What else? Yes, ma'am.
What if for the medication reminder, if they have a liquid medicine that needs to be pulled?
I'll show you. I'm gonna grab this. This is a big one. We use this one a lot. So this is a med minder. And you can set this up for Sunday through Saturday, 2 meds a day, right, for 2 weeks. Or 1 med a day for a month, right? And this will light up and then be plugged in. It is cellular. So it does, that way it can let you know that person has or has not taken their meds. It will light up and then beep. So when you get ready to load this, when that opens, this capsule or this container has the meds in it. Depending on the amount that they need, then they can use this. And then this goes into the dishwasher. okay? And it will let them, when the lid is closed, it knows you've taken it. If it's a dry pill, they can put it back in there, but they know that it's been taken. So, I'll pass that around. But that's probably our biggest user. Most of the time, we put those in about everywhere because everybody's on some type of medication, even a vitamin. Yes, yes,
And I take it that's locked?
it is locked. They cannot open it until it's time for the med pass.
We'll also close after an hour, right?
Yes, it will lock them out if you want it to. If you do not want it to, if they can take that pill sometime during the day, it will blink and beep until they take it. And then they open it and take it, just one second. But they can take that pill sometime during that day. But if they get the vitamin, that's how we start with some of the people is, maybe you say, okay, take your vitamins this way. Or, whatever pill they're on daily. Start with that. It doesn't have to be, okay, you have 16 medicines that you're taking during the day. Here we go. You can start small with this. That's what's nice about it. And then you had a question, sir?
Yeah, what if you're on a waiting list for a waiver? You don't have a
Okay.
waiver yet.
Yep. These are the capsules. If you're on a waiting list for a waiver, there are self-pay things that you can do. There's private pay. But if you're on a waiting list for a waiver, we can work with your provider and get things ready to go. So when that waiver is there, the equipment is installed and ready to go.
You can transfer from a self-pay to the waiver when it's...
Depending on, when we'll work with your provider to do that.
Right.
We're not out to get, and we're not out to put anybody in the homes. We want to work with the providers in the area. But, yeah. Yes, ma'am, you had a
So
question?
you can set the range, like you do it an hour before, hour after?
Yes, you can, provided that you need to. You can set it to be where if they're on a couple of medications, there's some that are time released, and if they do not take them in the prescribed time, if they take one at the end of their cycle and then one at the beginning of their cycle, they've just double med. So if there's a med pass time, then you can set that parameter, and then they cannot get back into it.
And you said it's cellular, so,
Yeah.
it's battery operated?
It plugs in,
runs off
it's got a plug that,
And it has a backup battery if the electricity goes out?
Yes. Yep, it's got a battery backup that only lasts a few minutes, but it is there.
What do you mean it only
It doesn't last for hours, the battery backup. It only lasts a
So
little
if you
while.
have a power outage over a certain number of hours, they're not gonna get their medication?
Well, we can put in a secondary battery backup. It's not one that's involved, it's not inside it. It's a battery, use them on your computers. It's a base unit that has a battery backup with it. I don't know the name of it.
CPU.
Yes, yes.
So they're not gonna miss a
No, they would not
dose?
miss it. They would not. But that, inside the equipment itself does not have a very long battery. But we do have the CPUs that would solve that problem. What else?
Can you abandon, if there is a power outage for a long period of time, while you're in that 15-minute period, can you abandon all of those
Yeah.
parameters so that the medicine is open?
Yeah. And if there is a power outage, and there is gonna be, for hours, and your CPU is going to run out, you can just be there and give the medication yourself. You don't have to go, okay, well, he only can take it out of the med minder. You can make that med pass
Right.
and do that yourself. It's also nice if that person comes to stay with you for the weekend, or they go to stay with another person for the weekend, they take the med minder with them, because that still has their times and their parameters. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as they have cell coverage. If they're going camping up in, someplace, it might be a little different, but, what that is they can take it with them, and then they are self-reliant.
So the clock works off your phone time?
It works off cellular. The clock is cellular based.
Did you get it?
So then if your cell phone goes out,
It's not your cell phone. It has its own cell card. It doesn't work off of your cell phone. It doesn't cost you any data. It has its own package that comes with it. And Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile are the three that it uses.
so you can access it through like a computer then?
Your smartphone or a computer, that you will get notifications if they have not taken it or when they do take it. you know, med passed at this particular time. Check. And you can always see what it looks like when you come in and you check on, you're like, okay, yep, they took it, they didn't take it. And then you can, your provider can then take a look at those goals and say, okay, you have been doing this great, you know? We can start looking at some more independence for you, because you have shown that you've taken this. Or you can take it the opposite way and say, you know, we talked about this, remember? That you were gonna take your meds on your own, but you've missed 4 med passes this in the last 2 weeks. We don't wanna go back to that, and nobody wants to go back to having somebody hand them a pill. They want, you know, they want to be able to do it on their own. You can use that as kind of a carrot saying, hey, make sure you're taking these, and you'll get notifications.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it. Who is the provider?
Whoever's caring for your child.
Okay.
I don't know, and everybody has their own.
It's not an insurance company, it's an
No.
individual, it's a
Yeah.
caretaker.
It's the company that provides the individual to your home. That's your provider.
That provides the care for your individual.
Or the parent.
Or the parent, yes.
Okay.
If you have 24-hour or even, you know, 8-hour care where there's a person in your home taking care of your child, that person is we call that person's company the provider. I don't know who you guys use out here for Stark County, probably a bunch.
Free choice provider.
Yeah.
For ELT services, so whoever you've chosen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's who you've chosen to do the care for your son. Winreath does do that, but we do it out kind of northwest Ohio. Yes, ma'am.
Could you direct, and maybe before this ends, with whom I could contact to find out more about hands-free technology, like voice-activated technology, like turn on the computer, make a call.
Yep, that would be me. And
Or
I'll give you, my card is
turn the
over there.
phone on.
And if you would like, I can come out and do an assessment for your home. See what it is you have, check your Wi-Fi, check your, you know, your cellular coverage for your particular area. And we can put together a plan that will work for you. Alexa may be the one that works, or the Nest system may be one that works for you, where you just speak into it. And yeah, I know you talked about the keyboard. I have to do some research on that, but that's what I love to do. I love to see what else is out there, because as technology grows, and as this industry grows, there's more need for certain types of things, so they get invented, and they get put onto the market, and they become cheaper. We didn't have cook stops 10 years ago. We didn't have automatic door locks with the biometric readers 5 years ago. It's because there's a need for them. People want them, so somebody invents them.
We're getting to the end of our time. If anyone
Okay.
has one more question, we'll do one more question, and then
Do these come any smaller?
No. Yeah, they're big. There's a smart monitor that we are looking into that's the size of a smart watch. Those are a little intrusive. They're a little big, but there is a GPS inside. So to fit someone with a smaller wrist, it does have the a wrist guard to kind of pick up that space. And I can pass these around too, or if you want to go over and look at them, it does lock down and then locks over with the thing. But these are big. That's one of the big issues with them, is they are big, but they do work. So that's a pretty big thing. So if you want to come over and check things out, you're welcome to. Thank you.
thank you for coming. Thank you to John and Jordan for your presentation. Remember, in November is our next Family Information Center or session, and we'll send out information to you. Please be sure to sign in and.
I can find that out. That's cool. Yeah. He's got my ear. Yeah.
Just trying to capture for the people that couldn't come tonight.
Well, look at Raymond's stuff, that's just something you buy. And Home Depot or something. Rent or online.
So this is that Lively device I was talking about that this is the charger that comes with it. This is the button you push, right? Press this button and it'll, what's going on, what's your problem, what do you need?
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm having, that I'm feeling okay, that things are good. And that's fine, you're talking directly to a nurse. Hold this one down. Hold that down for 5 seconds, it'll call 911 in your local area. That's a demo unit, it's not going to do anything. But it is two-way voice, and that's what makes that nice, is they are talking directly to someone. It is just like a cell phone. That,
And you program that to who you want it to talk
Yes.
to. So it doesn't have to be nothing. Well,
That is the-
911 is the secondary program. First program is
the first program has, and we have to get as much information about